Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the Aigo S55. These are wireless Bluetooth sports headsets, which again is something that seems kind of boring on first impression. It's something we've seen many times before, but there are a few reasons why we're taking a look at this. Now, the first is the brand. Aigo is a name that you've probably not heard of here in North America, but they're actually very large in China. In fact, a few years ago, before smartphones really took off, Aigo was a bigger brand than Oppo, and even Meizu. But then smartphones came around, and of course, the rest is history. Oppo being one of the leading brands now in China making smartphones. But back in the day when they were still making purely audio-based devices, Aigo was a pretty big deal. They were actually the official Olympic sponsor in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, and they had lots of different MP3 players, MP4 players that I can still remember reading about in the news. So this is actually one of the first times where this company has tried expanding outside of China, and they're coming out with a pretty low-cost pair of these wireless headsets, which sell for only $20. They're aimed for sports enthusiasts, for those who go to the gym and work out. The second interesting feature is it has a reflective strip on the part that goes over your neck. It's not completely glow-in-the-dark or LED based. It doesn't actually flash, but it's the same material as you'll find on bike helmets, and the claim is if you're running outdoors, it will increase your visibility. It's using Bluetooth version 4.2, which is a little bit on the outdated side. I do wish they would use Bluetooth 5.0, but again, these are very low cost, only $20, so it's a bit more forgivable. The packaging contents are pretty scarce. We do have just some spare silicone tips and outer wings, which again gives you a tighter seal because these are sports oriented at the end of the day. And there's a soft carrying pouch as well. And we also have the quick instruction manual, and that's pretty much it. In terms of design, the S55 are very lightweight, and the band is malleable, partly because it doesn't hold any electronics inside. It kind of reminds me of a true wireless earbud in the sense that a lot of the weight is still in the earbuds themselves. That's where some of the electronics are found, and then the battery is actually in the remote control module here, as opposed to being inside of the rubber like we saw with the Givos, as well as with the LG Tone, to name a few. Now, the tips themselves are also magnetic, so they can stay together when not in use. You can wear it like a necklace without losing them, and immediately we can see that's what the wing is. It catches onto the inside of your ears and adds some extra resistance when you are jogging or moving around. Here are the Apple AirPods next to it for comparison, so it definitely juts out from your ears a little bit. Dimming the lights here, the effect becomes pretty apparent if we just use the LED flash on our phone and hit it across the reflective surface. You can see it kind of glows and shimmers at certain angles and just catches your eye pretty easily. The inline remote also features a microphone for answering phone calls, and it also has an LED status light, micro USB port for charging, and the keys. You can tap on the center key to turn it on, to play and pause your music, and also to change the volume up and down. Moving into audio quality and performance, for $20, these are pretty good, I'd say, especially with bass. They do have a very tight seal. On bass boosted tracks or EDM type music with drum beats, it definitely is very powerful and thumpy. In fact, out of earbuds, I would say it has one of the richer bass experiences I've encountered out of the past 20 or 30 pairs I've tried, which is definitely saying something. It's not quite audiophile grade, of course, so there's definitely some details which are missing, but as a whole, it is still a very enjoyable experience listening to music on these, whether it's acoustic, it's pop, it's rock, or just watching videos with them. Now, some things to point out, though, is it does have a tad of hissing or distortion in the background, which is, of course, very much normal for Bluetooth earphones and Bluetooth headphones. It's really not anything to complain about, in fact, because even if you turn the volume all the way down, it's barely noticeable. But I do want to point it out because the last pair of headphones I reviewed happened to be the Givo GV28, which happened to not have any static at all, just because the Givo used the latest Bluetooth 5.0 chip, which I think is making some difference. For listening to music as you're working out, maybe a longer playlist, it's perfectly fine, but other areas where having the latest Bluetooth 5.0 makes a slight difference would be if you are constantly shuffling back and forth on a video, if you're scrubbing, or if you're constantly playing and pausing the track. On the older Bluetooth 4.2 chips, you will notice a bit more of added kind of popping each time that you play and resume the track. And that's why, again, for music listening, that's really where I think these are best suited, which I guess Aigo is also advertising it as music listening earbuds for sports and exercise. So that's been the Aigo S55 Sports Bluetooth headset. At the end of the day, I think for $20, they're still a pretty good value, especially since true wireless earbuds tend to still sell for about twice the price, even on budget models. And these do have overall very good construction quality. The brand name Aigo is also more reputable, although it might not be a household name in the US, but it actually is a pretty big name in China. It's just a little sad that they're not quite as recognizable anymore as, say, Oppo or Xiaomi, when once upon a time they actually were a bigger company. You can check out more details in the links down below if interested. Overall, for $20, I would say they're definitely very solid for sports headphones, especially if you want something that's bass heavy for music listening. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Aigo S55.